Okay, so in the interest of everyone's time, I'll get started. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. I never know. Always still like to check. So I'm Ainsley. For those of you I've met before, I am the Vice President of Training here at the Junior League, and just wanted to kick things off before I hand it over to Melissa and Lynn to go over some meatier topics here. So basically, what I just wanted to talk about is, training is one of our top member benefits here at the league, and we really want to be there for you as a leader, as part of the training committee's goals. We want to be relevant and impactful for you as leaders. So I'm going to be sending out somehow, I have to logistically figure this out, but kind of a survey of what you as leaders and then the members as well would like to be trained on, learn as far as leadership in the league, and then also any external trainings. But what we're going to be offering throughout this league year, we're going to be offering new member training, just as far as the league. Within our leadership circle here, just really wanting to reach out to all of our community leaders, how to run meetings, agendas, working with financing, calendarizing things. There's a lot on the Digital Cheetah platform. It is pretty user friendly. You just have to know where to find it. So we're here to help and support you in that. And also just individual trainings with each committee on kind of that financial part, because that seems to be one of the trickier things for us to figure out. So just as I mentioned, we're here for you. We're here to support you. We have a lot of training still in the training library if you look on the website. But as always, feel free to reach out to me at training@jlboston.org. And I will do whatever I can to help and support you and get you trained and feel confident in your roles. So without further ado, I think I'm going to kick it off to either Melissa or Lynn. We have
Can we just start by asking people to, in the chat, just put what your position is. It's going to help me kind of, is certainly gear my conversation to you.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Thank you.
Perfect.
And Melissa can go first.
Get the boring part over with.
We love finance.
All right, let me share my screen. And then as far as like sharing out, I'm assuming the training will be recorded and shared with folks so they can look back on it. But if I wanted to share anything, do I just send it to you, Ainsley?
Yeah, you can just send it to me, and we are recording this, and I can send everything out to the leaders with a link. So thank you.
Okay, let me just figure out how to like present. Sorry, it's been a long day.
Yeah, it's still Monday.
All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to keep this kind of high level. I kind of went back and looked at some of the appointed leadership trainings from the past, and they were very dense in finances, and I don't want to make you guys glaze over. So I just wanted to touch on some like really key topics. I know there'll probably be some additional finance training. And then once the rest of the finance committee is on board, we're going to be bugging you with more training. So just wanted to keep it high level, introduce myself. So I'm Melissa Stevens. I'm the treasurer for 2023-24. And the treasurer-elect is Christina Stone. She's not on today, but she's getting married. So she's on a little hiatus, but you'll see her name quite a bit. So just wanted to talk kind of high level partnership with the Finance Council. Before I was on the community side for a really long time and had no idea what the Finance Council did, even though I'm in finance. So it's super important to the league. We ensure that the JLB is staying on track with their finances, staying in track with budget. And to do that, we have a committee of folks that help out. So there's 5 to 7 members, also known as liaisons. You'll hear me say that. You'll hear other folks say that, and the treasurer and the treasurer-elect. And each committee, we don't have the groups assigned yet, but each committee will have a finance liaison to work directly with. And soon you will be getting your budgets for the year. We're just waiting on some logistics with the actuals for 2023. So once we have those, we will be sharing them. But if you, in the meantime, if you need to know your numbers right away, just let me know and I can work with you. So basically the liaison responsibilities is sharing your budget. They're going to monitor and send out your monthly budgets versus actuals reports each month. So you'll get something in your inbox that's going to show, and I have an example of it in a later slide, where you're falling versus your budget for spend. They're going to help prep for next year's budget cycle. So starting in February, we're going to start the whole budget cycle up again and coming up with new budgets. So they're going to help you with that. They're going to assist, which is kind of an important thing that I'm going to go over again, with the pre-approval forms for expenses and check requests. And there's a training that's going to be associated with that. And then just overall support with any questions you have regarding your budget. Finances can get confusing, even if you're not, I mean, even if you're a finance person. So definitely reach out to us or to me directly if you ever have any questions. And then kind of expectations from the leadership team. Review your budget versus actual reports each month as you get them. There may be a lag. We do use an outsourced accounting team that pulls our reporting together. So sometimes there's like a month lag, but be sure once that hits your inbox, take a look at it, review it, reach out if you have any questions, something's hitting your budget, your actuals that shouldn't be there or something's missing. And then working with your committee to ensure that check requests and expense pre-approvals are submitted in a timely fashion. That's probably kind of the biggest, I guess, point of contention with, with finance is just making sure we get those reports on time. And again, driving home, we're going to be reaching out to you to make sure that we set up time with you and your committee to review the whole process, because it can get a little confusing as we go through it. So just kind of an example of what your budget's going to look like. We go back a couple of years just so you can see what spend was like in the past. I know with COVID, it's kind of an anomaly, but it'll have your last year's actuals. This isn't complete yet. And then your current budget. So it's good to notice what your expense line items are. They all have codes with them. So those are account codes. And then as you see at the top, 325 STEM, 325 is the it's a department code. It's just the code you're going to use when you submit your expense report. So just some numbers to be aware of as you go through. And then this is what your budget versus actual report will look like each month. So you can see there's columns of actuals, there's a budget column, and then your variance. So you can see how much you have left to spend in the year. And you just want to keep an eye on that and make sure that you're not overspending, but also want to make sure you're keeping an eye on it in case you have extra money to spend, because we did have some groups this past year that didn't spend their full budget. And we're definitely not a use it or lose it type of scenario. We want everyone to spend so that we can, gain some more exposure to the league. And so, as I noted, we have outsourced accountants, so there's sometimes a lag with this. So if you have any questions or concerns, just reach out. Wanted to point out the finance resources. They're kind of embedded. I don't know how many folks have gone out to the resources portion of the JLB website. But if you go to resources, submit request more information, forms and resources, way down at the bottom, you'll find finance resources. And I just put arrows next to the forms that you'll probably really use the most. There's the check request voucher, which I'll have an example on a subsequent slide, your account and project codes, which are also in your budget, a pre-expense approval form, and this ST5 form, which I want to stress the importance of it. The league does not, since we're a tax exempt organization, if you submit an expense report that has tax on it, we will not reimburse it. So if you're making purchases for the league, make sure you present this form and you will not be charged tax. But in the event that you do pay tax, we will not be able to reimburse it. Oh no, where's my form? There it is. Wait. Oh no, my form's not showing up. All right, let's talk about the check request voucher. Actually, I can show you without. So there's an expense pre-approval form, and this is required for all expenses greater than $250. Basically, oh God, this is terrible. That's not showing up. But basically, you're going to fill out your name, what the spend is, like itemize what you're going to want to spend, and get approval from your VP if it's between $250 and $500. If it's over $500, it's going to require approval from the president and the treasurer. And this is needed before you spend anything. If it's over $1,000, we require 3 bids just to make sure we're getting the best deal, and that we're doing our research. So that would have to be submitted and approved by your VP and the president and treasurer. It has to be submitted at least 1 week. We preferably a lot more lead time than that. This way we can make sure that the appropriate approvals are in place and that we can review it. If it's under $250, you do not have to fill out the pre-approval. You could just fill out a check request voucher. Just to point out, the check request voucher is required for everything. It's just if it's under 250, you don't need the pre-approval. The check request voucher, it's pretty straightforward. We're in the process of revamping it. It's been a little bit confusing in the past with just how things are named, but we're going to try to automate it with some drop downs and make it as easy as possible for everybody to figure out. But like I said, remember your project coding. So this 327 and some of the account codes that align to your budget. So just make sure that anything that you're submitting an expense for, it's in your budget. Again, any questions, just reach out. All fields must be filled in correctly. Otherwise, we're going to return it to you. That's why I can't emphasize enough having a training with your finance liaison or myself, because it'll make the process a lot smoother and you'll get your check submitted right away. Once your check request voucher is complete, you're going to have to attach all of your receipts, and we prefer that you do it in one PDF. It's pretty easy to just print everything to a PDF because we have to send them off to our offshore accountants, who, just for ease of processing and eliminating confusion, we like it to be in one file. Just make sure it's approved by the project chair. It doesn't have to be signed. An email approving it is fine. Just we'll attach it to the file, and then forward that to your finance liaison and copy myself and the treasurer-elect. This way we can make sure someone has eyes on it and gets it approved, and we can forward it on for processing. So with that said, that is my big spiel. Trying to keep it short. Any questions? I know that's a lot of information. And like I said, your finance liaisons will be reaching out to you directly. So you'll get a little bit more personalized training, but just wanted to give you kind of a high level overview of what's necessary for leadership and finance working together. All right, I'll popcorn it back over to Lynn if you're ready.
Sure. One quick question. I know that one person said she had to leave early. Amelia, are you still on?
Yep, I'm still on.
Okay, then I'm going to quickly go through communications first, because I think that you are probably the most important audience for that. And then I will go into technology. So in terms of communications, I haven't done the transition to the new communications chair yet, but there will be a committee, and they are going to have probably the same sort of kind of liaison situation that finance does. The one thing that I want to stress about communications is that you need to engage communications early, and that filling out the communications form for staff to fill out is the last step in the communications process. So if you haven't gotten through the kind of beginning steps and you kind of fill out your form, you have skipped over all of the important steps. So I will send this link out to you, but I wanted to go through it a little bit with you. So I will, this is a communications plan, and it might look a little bit different this year, but this is essentially just an example. So basically what you're going to want to do is work on your elevator pitches for whatever it is that you want to promote. You need to have a different elevator pitch depending on the particular audience that you are approaching, and you need to think about what those what that approach might be. You need to think about who your audience is. Are you only advertising to people in the league? Are you trying to advertise externally? Are you trying to advertise to press? Are you trying to find donors? And you need to really think about kind of what your message is going to be for all of those people. I cannot stress this enough, particularly if you want to start talking to donors and the media, you have to get your communications plan in very, very early. Really for media and for donors, like it needs to be 2 months before the event. So for instance, if you are thinking about the holiday stroll or holiday market at this point, I mean, you really need to have your communications plan done by like the beginning of October, probably possibly earlier, preferably earlier. You have to lay out the time period. You want to think very much about your call to action. What is the action that you want those each one of those audiences to engage in? You need to think like, do we care about selling volumes of tickets? Do we care about getting people to click on a link for recruitment? Kind of think through all of these pieces, and your liaison can help you think through these pieces, but you the process will be smoother if you have thought about them first and can present them to your liaison. So if you do not have any preferences about the graphics, staff can do that for you. If you want something specific about your graphics, you have a color in mind, you have like an idea of what you want the messaging to look like, you will need to specify that, or you're going to get the whatever staff comes up with. And I just want to point out that yes, social is really important, but you also have to think about things like public relations. So do you want a press release? Do you want like a print ad in like the Boston Uncommon magazine? And kind of to work through that, I think that you will find that if you can get some other promotion outside of social, that you are going to be more successful with your events, particularly for like the big fundraising events. If you want to make sure that you are kind of casting the widest net, I would suggest that you think very heavily about communications that go beyond social. So that's really the main point that I wanted to make. The new communications chair will probably reach out to you directly, but the things that you need to remember, and I'm going to send you this link, is you need to think through it. You need to think through it in advance, really, really far in advance, and that you need to consider communications in addition to social, and that filling out the communications form for staff is the last step in the process. Okay, so with that said, all right, I will start with Digital Cheetah because that applies to more people. So I want to be clear that the way that you communicate with your council may be different depending on what council you're in. And the big distinction is going to be, do the people in your council have email addresses, JL Boston email addresses or not? But this is pretty much for everybody else. So membership advisors, community chairs, if the majority of your committee does not have a JL Boston email address, this is mostly for you. Okay, so what you will have eventually is a group in Group Share in Digital Cheetah. If you go to the, let's use, I think that I'm still in membership council. There we go. If you go to the Group Share, let's hope the new member, good, perfect. All right, you have all of these resources. I just wanted to let you know that the Digital Cheetah, we are actually working on switching Digital Cheetah. So I anticipate, I hope, like fingers crossed, by September, this is going to be easier to use. It's a little wonky right now, but there's actually a really important reason why you should do all of your communications with your committee and Digital Cheetah. So people are going to transfer in over the year. There are going to be new members who start, you know, kind of a little bit later in the season. You're going to have people who might switch placements because whatever they were originally placed in isn't going to work with them. If you use group share to communicate with your committee, your list is always going to be up to date. And not only that, you'll also have records of all of your messages. You'll know who it went to. It's really important to do this. If you essentially just use the roster that you're given at the beginning of the year and use an email to communicate with people, you are going to miss people and people are not going to get your communications. So basically you can, so if you use the email button here, it's just taking forever. Sorry, my computer is running slowly right now. You can, it's defaults to select all. You can say select none and, you know, pick one or two people to contact, but you just say collect all, continue, or select all, continue. You can make templates if you kind of say the same thing over and over again, but you just basically put in whatever emails that you want to put in and send the email, and you have a record of all of the emails that you sent and received right here, which is awesome. Okay. Okay, so your roster is always going to be up to date. If you look, you can look at it in Excel or PDF if you want to, but there's always going to be a roster here. And if people switch their placements, that will always be up to date. You can check what, so obviously we self-report hours, but you can check the hours that people have reported. So for instance, if you know that somebody has shown up to 5 of your sessions and you don't see any of their hours here, you might want to just make sure that you remind them that they need to put in their hours so they are actually getting their placement credit. And then hopefully you won't have to do this, but this is how you would track if somebody like was saying that they were coming to things and weren't. Okay. So there are so using our main calendar, so we have like a the main calendar up here, and I would highly recommend using that for community impact, for like membership events, for like essentially anything that you want automatic credit assigned for. So for instance, if you have a membership social event, you want it on the main calendar, you want everybody in the league to see it, and you want there to be a credit attached, so when somebody checks in that they get the credit. But if you are, for instance, the STEM group, you will want to use the calendar. Here, this is only available to your group, and you basically can put all of the events for the year in this calendar. They will be available for everybody in your committee, and you can download, like if you have it on your phone. So there is a Digital Cheetah app. If you don't have it, you should download it right now. But you can basically get it on your like regular calendar. You can kind of transfer them onto your regular calendar. So there are files. So if you have like training materials that you want to use for your committee, you can put them in files. But another thing that you can do is put them in pages. Let me actually show you in a different one where I did this last year. All right, so in pages, I put the communications and technology resources in a page. It's really simple. It's just basically like a text editor. It's not hard to use. And so these are all of the resources that my committee members needed in order to get through the year. So the example of the communications plan that we just saw, all of the major documents that they needed to know. And these are all links. These are links from SharePoint and some links that are available from the resources page. If you are not aware that this is here, it's really important. And it gives you things like if you want to see the bylaws, the handbook, please, please, please read the handbook. It's really important. You're going to see all sorts of cool things in there that you didn't know were policies about how we run the league, and it's very helpful. Strategic plan, annual plan, all of our sub strategies, but we also have the forms and resources page if you just kind of want a listing of it, and we have things like excuse me, the links to the finance, everything that Melissa was just talking about is right here. Links to like the communications forms. You need to do a separate event request form to get it on the calendar, and a separate communications form to then promote once it's on the calendar, to just kind of know about that. But the point is, in your group share, you want to make sure that your everything that you're providing are links to kind of where that original place was. And the reason for that is, for instance, if Melissa decides she needs something different on the like the expense approval sheet or something, it's essentially going to get uploaded to the same place, and so the link will stay the same, and so you will have a better chance of all of the documents staying the same across the year, even if changes are made. So there are all sorts of cool features in here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they are really useful for communicating with your group and communicating with your circles. So that's basically like how circles work too. All right, with that said, I'm going to send you all of the sort of key links for all of this in case you didn't remember what I said. All right, so if you have an email address, then you hopefully have logged in. Does anybody not have an email address? The people who should not have an email address are most of the new member advisors, transfer advisors, and I think that's it. The active advisors do have an email address. So is anybody who is not one of those people, does anybody not have an email address yet, or it's not gotten into their email? You can put it in the okay, no clue. Okay, if you haven't done that, you need to do it ASAP. You want to first talk to whoever the chair was last year and see if they can give you the username and login. If for whatever reason you can't get in contact with them, just send an email to operations@jailboston.org, and they will change the password for you and give you a temporary one. So yes, it will go to your personal email. Fingers crossed, I think when we do the change in Digital Cheetah that's supposed to be coming in the fall, that will change. let's hope, fingers crossed. Okay. Okay, yes, please, 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 get your email set up. Okay. Yes, Ainsley, like there's a lot about the changes to Digital Cheetah that you're gonna love. Okay, so you have this, you have, if you go up to these little squares in the top, you have access to all of the like Microsoft 365 suite of products. You have editable words, Word docs, Excel docs, PowerPoint. So just to show you what this looks like. So first of all, if you have a JL Boston email address, do not, under any circumstances, put any Junior League material or work in your personal email or your personal like box. And I realize that it's going to go to your personal email if that thing isn't fixed yet, the thing that we were just talking about over the chat. But you want to make sure that none of the documents are in your personal account, and if you do get sent, if you are using group share and it goes to your personal, just make sure that your Junior League email is copied in it. I think that we might be able to get Shannon, do you think that we might be able to just get the email address kind of added as a like member? Like, can we give some sort of a separate status to the email addresses just to make sure that they are in the group share?
I can have Katie and I look into it.
Yeah. So the point being that even if you are using it because you're in group share, just make sure that everything gets forwarded or kind of moved into your inbox. So just to show you what, actually, yeah, I have one up already. So if you are, like, for instance, you have a document that you want to put together and you want to share it with your committee, all you need to do, it basically works the same as any Gmail account works. You just hit share, you copy the link, and you can set it to anyone with the link can edit. You can make it anyone with the link can view, can review if you don't want people kind of making little changes in it, but anybody can edit these. So please use what's going on in here. All right, I am going to send you a link to our SharePoint site, team site. So if you are not putting your documents here, they are in the wrong place. So in the places, so for instance, if we go to community, and I spent some time putting, actually, if you have old Junior League documents that are on your personal computer or in any of your personal accounts, please go in and move them here. A lot of these folders are empty because people haven't been using them. And the problem is when you leave or when a person moves on to a different position and you haven't put them in SharePoint, like all of that information goes away. And so the next leader does not have the benefit of like all of the information that you have been able to share and just everything that you've done. And so they essentially have to start over from scratch, which is really, really unfair for future leaders. So if you have any of this information, please go in and put it in just to make sure that whoever comes after you is going to have this resource available. But just to give a couple of other, give you an idea of some of the things that are available to you. You go to all, you have access to, so forms. So if you want to make a form for somebody to send out, use Microsoft Forms. Please don't use Google. There are tracking lists that you can use, which I think are amazing, and I like to use them all the time. there are a lot of services that you can use. You don't have to use, for instance, a lot of the like more advanced things, but definitely for your documents, for your presentations, for your forms, please, 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 please use SharePoint or Microsoft 365. So those are the major, that's most of what I have for you today. I think that that there is a lot to say for other committees, like for instance, if you would like me to talk to your council about your technology needs in more depth. Actually, let me quickly go through and show you. Can you still see my screen? You can still see it, right? No? Hold on. For example, I actually don't think that I have the right administrative level right now, but a lot of people by definition of your leadership role will have access to administrative areas in Digital Cheetah. And so placement, most development will have access to donor management. So we have an entire donor management system in Digital Cheetah. And so there may be committee or council specific technology needs that you might want to discuss, and I'm happy to talk about that. But I wanted to go through sort of the general stuff with you right now, just to make sure that you were aware, essentially, so you knew what questions to ask later. So in the meantime, do you have any questions for me?
No, this is very helpful. Thank you. Go to overview.
Questions at all? All right. Well, happy to answer any questions. I'm actually at MEM-elect, membership elect this year, but you can ask me technology questions at any time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I agree with what Lauren just said. I learned a lot, even though I was in the electoral last year. So this is super helpful. And I think it'll be really helpful for all of our committees and teams and everyone to kind of get a good handle on all the resources there are out there. Oh, hi, Caitlin. Sharina. I think if there's anything else, I can let you all go. And this will be, Shannon mentioned this is being recorded, so it'll be distributed to all leaders this week. And there's a lot of training documents in the training library on Digital Cheetah as well. Any other questions before we go? All right. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.